Welcome to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
Anytime you get a chance to play for a head coach that has won a Super Bowl and has been there and knows what it takes, that's definitely enticing. Because like I mentioned, he knows what it takes to get there, and he's going to put us in the best position and coach us to get to that point, because that's our ultimate goal. We're going to have to work towards that, and we all know that. But having him, being our head coach was definitely a big factor, and just being here, being able to play here last year, and just seeing the amount of potential that's on this roster, and just knowing that just a few key pieces away from being able to build something special.
Coach Peterson, a major draw in free agency, the Jaguars signing as of now 7 free agents, and we are a week off the massive overhaul, I guess you could say, of the free agent frenzy, but it is not done yet. At least reports coming that there are still players visiting Jacksonville as of now. Welcome into Jaguars Drive Time. Ashlyn Sullivan, Brian Sexton, and John Oehser here with you on a Tuesday morning. And Brian, you made a good point yesterday on Jag. I know, and you do that sometimes, so I wanted to bring it up.
Right. Thank you.
Good point that you were asked in public, are you excited about this free agent class? And I think it's important to note, yes, there's excitement, there's optimism, but you also don't want to sound like a broken record, because every offseason you're optimistic, you're excited, and we get that. I'm
expressing what I think a lot of the fans want.
Yeah.
They want to be excited about the guys, and when you listen to them, you feel excited about the guys. But free agency, and John, we've said this for years, and you in particular have beat this drum, it's a crapshoot. You're going to overpay, whether a guy fits your system or not, whether he can perform as well as he did in his last stop or not. Those are all things to be determined. It seems like they have gotten great value in terms of players that fit and people that work in the locker room. Overpay, yes, you overpay. That's just the game that we play. I don't want people to not be excited about this football team. The reason, and the end of that story is, the reason that I think it's fair to be able to have that conversation is you have the quarterback. And I'm still today as excited about Trevor Lawrence as I was, 6 months before they drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I should clarify today's show, by the way, guys. I don't know if you noticed there's something different about me. I am phoneless. I left my phone at my mother's house last night. I've got to go back and get it after the show.
Why is that notable?
I'm a little out. Well, rarely do I go without phone, so I am a rudderless ship, so look out. But it's to Brian's point on free agency. If Christian Kirk was the best wide receiver in the NFL, he would be on the Cardinals.
Yes.
And I'm not criticizing Christian Kirk. I'm just saying that every player is available for free agency for a reason. Christian Kirk may work and prove us wrong and become the best wide receiver in the NFL. He certainly has capability to do that. But there are always reasons guys are out there. What the Jaguars did was raise the water, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They raised the talent level. That's what they needed to do. And the impressive thing about Christian Kirk and about the other players on the free agency class, except for Brandon Scherf, it does feel like they are rising players. They're all 25, 26. Trent Baalke said age was a factor.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to be younger. They wanted to have those second contract guys. I'm optimistic. I think what fans are feeling, Brian, you mentioned the fans. What I'm feeling, what the fans are feeling, seems to be a cautious long-term optimism, because you feel like you have a professional head coach
100%.
with a quarterback who can grow beneath that. There is a feeling among the fans that I talk to of, hey, we like it, but we're going to wait and see. We're optimistic, but let's see how this first year goes. So I think that's fair.
And I get the
decade
hesitancy. Absolutely. Can't blame them.
One more thing. I said I was excited as I can be about Trevor Lawrence. I am as excited as can be about Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
And after reading that article in The Athletic yesterday, which just pissed me off, right, about the way that other guy ran this thing, to have someone like Doug in, who played for Don Shula, Mike Holmgren, Andy Reid, played with Dan Marino and Brett Favre, in Philly, in Miami, in Kansas City, wherever he was, he understands how to build a championship caliber team, because he's done it, because he's seen other people do it. So he brings in a level of competency that we didn't see in 2021. So all those factors in, and I don't want to, the quarterback and the coach last year were the story. The quarterback and the coach this year are the story. And this year, I think there's a happy ending opportunity. Last year, I wasn't so sure.
I think tying everything together, Schlin, I think the 7 free agents that they signed fit what we're feeling about Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Meaning, and I get winning the press conference, you get tired of it. I'm sure there were fans saying, I don't care what they say during press conferences. But these guys feel like they fit. It feels like there's a vision. And as I've written multiple times since last Wednesday, that gives you the foundation and a chance to build.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
That is where we're at. Let's get into big things. Big thing one is the offense. Looking at the offense after free agency, signing 4 offensive players. One of the ones we're really excited about is tight end Evan Ingram. And like we just talked about, Coach Peterson, a major draw for why these free agents chose Jacksonville.
A big part of my decision was Doug. Him coming in here, obviously playing against him twice a year the last 4 years when he was in Philly, and his resume and pedigree using the tight end position, and some of the talent that he's developed was a big part of my decision, and having Trevor at quarterback and even the direction they were going in free agency, and I kind of felt that it was starting to head in the right direction, and I want to be a part of it.
Big thing, too, is defense. Looking at the defense after free agency, interior defensive line, linebacker, corner, all positions of need and all checked off the list in free agency. Foye Oluokun on the direction he sees this defense going after speaking with his new defensive coordinator.
I talked to Mike. I said, what do you think what do you want to hang your hat on as a defense? Because obviously we have to be on the same page, him and I, with what he wants and me to portray that to the rest of the unit. He said he wants to stop the run. So obviously we have a league or a conference where they run the ball well, and that's just more opportunity for me. That's how I feel. It's just definitely fun to go up against that kind of competition and that kind of talent. But I tell myself a lot of times before I play a back that I feel like is good, if I go up against him, then I'll be recognized. Like, I'll get that respect, and it's just fun to play against those kind of guys.
And finally, big thing 3, very important in free agency, is the salary cap. Before free agencies, the Jaguars were in the top 5 of salary cap space. Now they are sitting at 25th in the league. Goes to show you spent a lot of money last week for players you really needed. And one of the biggest contracts goes to the cornerback from Jacksonville, Darius Williams.
I mean, as soon as free agency hit and my agent was telling me the Jags was just coming after me, of course, I just had to put the little pause in there, seeing what other teams saw or wanted or talked about. But I just knew it was going to be nothing like coming home. I pretty much knew my whole time it was going to be a Jags. But of course, you just still want to see, just to not just jump in stuff so quick. But couldn't wait to come back home.
And there you have it. That is Big Things, recapping a very busy week in free agency that might not be done yet. There's reports from Adam Schefter as of yesterday that former Titans linebacker Rashaan Evans will be visiting Jacksonville this week. And we talked a little bit about the linebacker unit yesterday in the Jaguars Reporter podcast. That was before this news came out. If they get Evans, you're feeling pretty good about that unit.
Yeah. Look, they got better at stopping the run last year, but they weren't good enough.
Yep.
They needed to be more stout up front, and the front with a guy like Evans inside, and we've seen what Oluokun. I won't lie, I didn't watch Atlanta a whole lot last year. I didn't know a lot about him, but in watching him now, you put a guy like Evans who can run equally as well next to him, and you're in good stead. Can I go to big thing 3?
Absolutely.
Salary cap. In this very seat, Trent Baalke last week when he was on Drive Time talked about not wanting to have this free agent exposition every year, right? Grab 1 or 2 that make sense for you. And that's certainly the goal because, as we talked about, when you start putting this money out there, the return rate on free agents is probably less than 50% in terms of getting the value for the money that you spend. The problem is that the salary cap is about to take some exponential jumps up in terms of the money available to teams to spend. Just as an example, you mentioned that the Jaguars have fallen from the top 5 to 25th in terms of salary cap room. Next year, they're 25th. And in 2024, they're 25th as it stands right now. And in 2024, they're 5th with $140 million in cap room, right? That's to give you an idea of how much money there is to spend. So how do you do that wisely? Draft and develop. Go find your guys. Do a great job in getting these guys out of contract. And right now, how many guys have the Jaguars got that they can extend, that they've drafted?
Not many.
The obvious one is Josh Allen, right? I mean, you can grab him and you can extend that. But beyond that, there really isn't anybody that stands out that you say, okay, I'm going to do that right there. You got to wait. You got to hope that last year's draft class comes through and that you can start working on those guys and getting ahead of it.
And that's really the way people talk about the cycle. And it's, you sign free agents and you sort of, it can happen that you chase bad money with bad money in free agency. And as Brian said, the only way out of that cycle, and it's happened so long in Jacksonville that I get letters, or not letters, a letter Schlen was something people used to
Did
write
you have to
on
put
paper.
a stamp on it?
Right. So I get emails from people saying, every year we hear about this, John, obviously it can't happen. Well, the way it happens that you get yourself out of the free agency cycle is you draft well. And as soon as you start drafting well, then you get compensatory picks, which have become kind of all the rage lately. Then you're out of the cycle. Then you can develop players and you can build a roster of homegrown. That's what these guys want to do.
Yes.
Clearly, they didn't feel like there were second-year candidates this year who, as a group, merited that. They're hoping to develop guys to merit it in the future.
One of the big ways that you also get out of this is having a quarterback who plays at a high level and takes up a huge chunk of salary cap room. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to imagine Trevor Lawrence making $60 million a year by the time we get to his first big bite of that apple. That will evaporate some of that room. And if you draft well, it will take it down even further. But, when you look at the teams that were involved in free agency, immediately they were not the teams that have won Super Bowls in recent years. It wasn't Kansas City and Tampa Bay. You found a team like Buffalo that was able to massage, move out Star Latulele, and bring in a couple of guys. The pass rusher from Von Miller, right. You can go do a little bit of that. But that's where you hope to get, that your salary cap is comprised primarily of your quarterback and your draftees.
And you do a couple little pieces and you're set.
And you go swing at the fences for Von Miller, hoping he's that guy that gets you over the fence in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game next year.
Right.
Yeah, there's a staggering go-for-it-now trend in the NFL that I frankly never thought we would see. And I think that would be a good topic for our guest, Shalane. How about that for a segue?
Nice. I like it.
Like
Speaking of our guest, NFL Network and NFL.com columnist Judy Battista joins us next right here on Jaguars Drive Time.
Jaguars fans, this year's draft day is taking over the Vegas Strip, and you could be there by entering to win the TIAA Bank Draft Day Sweepstakes at TIAABank.com/draft. One lucky fan will win a trip for two with airfare, hotel, and draft day tickets to see the Jaguars' first pick. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 21st to April 8, 2022. Visit TIAABank.com/draft for official rules. Sponsor and administrator, TIAA Bank.
Fans like you've been told that going all out is going too far. But fans like you know better. You're the kind of fan who loves the team as much as your pet, who paints yourself for game days and dyes your pet's fur to match. You are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and diehard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too. The official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
We're back, Jaguars Drive Time. It's Tuesday morning. We're brought to you by Jet Home Loans, and we are in this free agency frenzy that has not seemed to chill out, and no one better to talk about than NFL.com columnist Judy Battista joining us now. Judy, we are just trying to keep up down here. This seems to be one of the craziest free agencies we have ever seen, to be frank.
I think it's the craziest we've ever seen. I don't remember ever seeing anything like this, especially the quarterback movement, which is wild and unprecedented in the NFL.
Judy, let me ask you. This was a topic. We were just talking about this. The quarterbacks are the tip of the iceberg on it, but so many big names changing hands. Is this a trend? Do you see this being the way the league is going forward? Because, Judy, unfortunately, you and I have known each other a long, long time, so we're the old people in the room, along with Brian.
No.
I don't remember this.
Young at heart.
Is this how it's going to be, or are teams going to have to see if it works? How do you see this shaping up going forward?
I do think this is likely to be the way things are for a while. There's, if general managers have gotten younger, and I think this wave of general managers is more aggressive in team building. I mean, you're right. Like, only how many years ago there were never trades in the NFL? We would sort of bemoan like, oh, we wish it were more like Major League Baseball's trade deadline, right, where superstar players are moving all the time. That never happened. And you certainly never saw player-for-player trades. And part of the reason was they would say, well, the salary cap makes it too complicated. Well, now we realize, not really. They just didn't want to do trades. This wave of general managers seems more comfortable with doing it. And so I think we are likely to see this kind of movement. Listen, we just saw what the Rams did, and that's not for everybody. That's not everybody's cup of tea, the way they built their team, but it worked. And I think I think you're going to see a comfort level, particularly with moving star level players.
Judy, I'm not sure what my question is here, but when you look at the Colts, right? The Colts for years had Peyton Manning and then Andrew Luck, and they had no quarterback instability at all. And now what are they going into? 6 straight years this will be with them with a different starting quarterback. Part of that, I think, speaks to what you were saying, and that is that you've got guys who are willing to take chances. And the other part of it is that when there's not someone out there, guys can move freely. It's just so interesting. Marcus Mariota's getting another chance, and Russell Wilson moves to Denver. And so where does Baker Mayfield land? Where does this whole quarterback carousel stop this year?
I think also, just to add to what you were saying, a contributing factor this year is the draft class is not, there's just not this wealth of quarterbacks that are really well regarded in this draft class. Maybe that will turn out to be wrong, but at least the analysis going into the draft is, there's no Trevor Lawrence. So if you are a team in need of that guy, the draft is sort of pushed to the side. And if you feel like we're just a quarterback away, then you're going to go get one in free agency. To answer your question about Baker Mayfield, I don't know where he lands. Certainly the seats are filling up and the music is getting close to stopping. He apparently was hoping for the Indianapolis Colts. I never thought that was going to be a great fit. They apparently were not, really in on him either. So, there are teams that still need a quarterback. Seattle, I can't imagine they're going to be just settling with Drew Lock. So is Seattle a possibility? Maybe. What are the Carolina Panthers going to do since they missed out on Deshaun Watson? But, the slots are closing up. I mean, Atlanta, trades Matt Ryan and then signs Marcus Mariota, who is clearly their bridge quarterback. Maybe he resurrects his career, which would be tremendous. But, clearly he is the bridge to either his own career resurrection or to somebody else. New Orleans brought back Jameis Winston, which I think was the no-brainer move. But the spots are not just Baker Mayfield. What happens to Jimmy Garoppolo now, who I think we all assumed would be moved by this time, and his shoulder surgery has really messed up his movement.
Just craziness. I'm attempting to keep up down here. And we hear a lot about second chances in free agency. And Evan Ingram is someone that pops up. I know you're in the New York market, so you probably paid a little bit of attention to him. Do you see this panning out here in Jacksonville for a Christian Kirk, for an Evan Ingram to really make it here in Jacksonville?
Let me address Evan Ingram. I feel like maybe no player needed a fresh start more than Evan Ingram. It just, he had so much promise at the Giants and he showed flashes of his ability. It just never all came together consistently game after game. And I think, fans got tired of him and of waiting. And so it just wasn't going to work. I do think he has tremendous skill. I mean, he, runs routes like a wide receiver, and he has hands like a wide receiver, and he's big. So I think he is potentially, if it all comes together, he's like going to be the safety blanket for Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, easy passes. He can catch and then run with the ball. He's really good with the ball in his hands. So I think potentially that is going to be a great combination with Trevor and will really help. Will give Trevor like easy completions, which is what you need to do to help develop a young quarterback. The Christian Kirk thing is going to be fascinating because obviously he's being paid like a top 10 receiver, which he is not at this moment. But they're betting on the upside, and they've got the money to spend. I'm not quite as outraged by their money. I don't want to play like amateur salary cap guru. They have the money. This is what you have to do when you have to fill roster holes. So I am curious to see about Christian Kirk. He's a good receiver. I'm curious to see if he can go up the level to match what his paycheck is going to be. But again, I give the Jaguars credit because this offseason had to be all about putting the pieces around Trevor Lawrence, supporting Trevor so that he can develop. And I do think they have done that, including, helping their offensive line, which is a big part of it. I think they have done that, and I think the offense should function better. The roster is better than it was, 10 days ago.
Judy, your NFC East roots run pretty deep. So I'm sure you have people who have coached against Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson to a degree. Tell me what he brings, his reputation in the Northeast.
Calm, right? He will bring he's really well liked, and players coach is not the right description, but he's a well liked person, and I think that's probably going to be a nice change. I think he will lower the temperature. He's collaborative, and is a good offensive mind. And, in terms of football, he had an awful lot of success in Philadelphia. For instance, we were just talking about Evan Ingram. He's always had a lot of success with tight ends, and that will help Trevor Lawrence. He's something of a, quarterback whisperer as a former quarterback himself. So I think that will help Trevor an awful lot to have somebody who knows what he's going through in a game, right there on the sideline. I think that will help Trevor a lot, but mostly I think he will bring calm and quiet and, and goodwill, and that's probably going to go a long way.
There is nothing wrong with some calmness here in Jacksonville. Yes. I think we all can agree with that.
Can we just confirm, yes, he is much better liked already.
Yes.
There you go.
He is making strides in the building, that's for sure. Judy, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hope to see you guys soon.
Yes, let's hope so. Coming up on Jaguars Drive Time, we have some more segments Ashlyn asked coming up here on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Brooks Rehabilitation is looking for exceptional nurses who want to work where miracles happen. They're hiring for RN, LPN, HHA, and CNA positions across their inpatient, skilled nursing, and home health care settings. Brooks nurses serve as leaders, advocates, change agents, and care coordinators for their patients. They offer flexible schedules, career advancements, and continuing education, competitive pay, plus bonuses, shift premiums, and sign-on bonuses. Apply now at brooksrehab.org/nursecareers.
You and your guests are invited to enjoy Daly's Place like the stars this Thursday, March 24th, on stage with a live band, catering, drinks, valet parking. Discover your 2022 VIP Daly's Place options. Email ticketing at boldevents.com for more information. We are back, Jaguars Drive Time. We are a week out of free agency. The Jaguars potentially still making some moves, so a very busy time here in the offseason in Jacksonville. It is time for some Ashlyn Asks, 3 pressing questions we have in mind for today for these two lovely gentlemen. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are ready.
You threw me off with lovely.
Oh, I like to throw a compliment in here now and then, just to
if
keep
it's
you on
not
your toes.
heartfelt.
Yeah.
All right, number 1. Who will be the most impactful free agent signing out of the bunch? The Jaguars adding 7 free agents as of now. Who will we be talking most about? Who will be the most impactful? John Oehser.
All right, I'm going to go with the B-Man,
Oh, God.
Brandon Scherff. And I'm sure he's been called the B-Man quite a bit.
I don't think he does.
But I know there are going to be stat guys. I know people are going to be watching Kirk. They're going to be watching Evan Ingram. But Brian's alluded to this a couple times. He becomes the most, or the second most decorated offensive lineman this team's ever had. I don't know that he gives this team 5 years of Pro Bowls because of his age, but he is certainly, I think he will have an impact. He will allow the offensive line to go from okay in the last couple of years to being a dominant unit. He gives them a chance to do that. So I think he's going to be the most impactful. You sure hope he is. He's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, so I went with Brandon Scherff, right? That's what the star is for. Pronounce it like Sheriff.
I like that.
I went
The
with
B-Man.
Yeah, I'll go with Sheriff because he's big. He might not like B-Man. But he will be the most impactful because he will give them the ability. I've talked about Jawan Taylor at right tackle. I don't see him as a tackle. I see him more as an interior offensive lineman. But the two of them combined, this team will be right-handed. He is a mauler in the run game. For anything that Jawan lacks in pass protection with his feet, the guy can absolutely create a lane, and that's what Sheriff does.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of them leading the way. You put a tight end over there and block. Luke Farrell, right, blocking tight end. I mean, you should be able to get 3rd and 2, 70% of the time. So I think he's going to create the running game, which will help take the pressure off of the passing game. And he's a great player. The most decorated player they have signed in free agency ever. And the second most decorated offensive lineman that they will have ever had. So it's hard to see anyone having the impact that he will.
I like it. All right, now that we have noted the positive, what's missing? Who do the Jaguars still need to get in free agency, possibly the draft? Can they fix this right now in this week's free agency? What is still missing, John?
Well, I'm going to go vague. I'm going to go positions, but I'd like them to address linebacker. I like the idea, and his name's escaped me.
Rashaan Evans.
I like the idea of him, and I like the idea of interior offensive line. There are reports that Brandon Linder is mulling retirement. If that's the case, I like Shatley there at center, but you need depth on the offensive line. You need 7 or 8 guys who can play. They have had that in recent years. So interior offensive line, I don't know if it's the draft. I don't know if something happens with Linder. If you go that way, free agency, just to make sure you are shored up there. But I like those two positions as possible second-wave free agents.
I think those are the two. I wrote none because most of the names that are left in the free agent list are over 30 years old.
Well, they all signed with the Jags.
Yeah, well, right. Those who didn't. Right. I don't want any 32-year-old linebackers. I don't
that
want
are
any,
expensive.
I don't want a 34-year-old safety. None of that stuff. Because I'm trying to build for next year and beyond, and I want to be able to pay my own guys. But John's right. Rashaan Evans would make sense because he's a 26-year-old linebacker. And the Jaguars got Brandon Linder and A.J. Cann in the 3rd round. And Cann was a 5-year starter for them. And Linder obviously has not been healthy in recent years, but he's been a mainstay of the offensive line for almost a decade. So I'd like to see them address that in the draft.
Okay.
Go and
I think
find
that's
me,
where they will.
Yeah, go
It
find
makes
me a
sense
couple
to
of
me.
guys that I can, and a center in particular.
Yeah.
You should be able to find that. Remember, Brandon Linder was drafted as a guard from Miami, and he transitioned to center and was a very good one.
Yes, had a great
And
career.
they have 2 third-round picks. That seems to me the sweet
The right spot
for
to
that
get it.
position.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the third round. Now that we have some new guys here in Jacksonville, 7 free agents as of now. Now we have a better idea of, okay, maybe what are they thinking in the draft? Who, and not, you don't have to be specific. You could do position group if you so please. Who are the Jaguars taking at 33, their first pick in the second round? John.
Well, I'm not getting off this train.
You have stayed on
I
it.
think they're going wide receiver with. Need to show my
Oh, yes, you have a very nice drawing. He's trying.
wide receiver. It just feels to me like they have wide receivers right now who they feel good about. They have small guys who can run. The way you get big-time elite guy at that position, as we saw last week, big-time elite guy who's a true one doesn't come available in free agency.
Yeah.
You've got to draft it.
Right.
This year, the sweet spot in the draft for wide receivers is probably going to be anywhere between number 20 overall and number 40 overall. The Jaguars sit at number 33, trade up somewhere. I would be shocked if they don't go wide receiver at number 33.
Well, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into taking the best wide receiver. I want the best player. And I'm not sure the Jaguars are going to stay at 33. You mentioned the 2 third-round picks. They have the ability to move up. And there's a guy who I keep hearing is going to slide. There's going to be a rush up the board for receivers and a rush up the board for offensive linemen because there are 6 or 7 quality offensive tackles. So a guy like Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia, who everybody had in the top 10 when Georgia won the national championship, and rightfully so. He's a tremendous player. But he's a shade under 6 feet tall, and so he's a guy, and he plays a position that's not a premium position, that could be somewhere within striking distance. If there's an A.J. Brown kind of wide receiver, right, the Titans' great receiver, who's a second-round pick, well, then I want him. But if it's not, I don't want to be stuck with just taking the best receiver. I want this guy. And if he's anywhere within striking distance, give me him.
Okay, I like
Plus,
it.
you may as well look at other positions because in these conversations until April 28th, I'm talking wide receiver. So you may as well figure out something else to talk about.
And I know. I mean, you're not getting off of that one. So, but that's okay. I legitimately, I could see him sitting at 26.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people talking about going up the board to get him because he's too good of a value to slide much further.
On a serious note, Brian's right. At that spot, if wide receivers are gone, you don't force it.
Yeah.
You need to get. I mean, that's a premium pick. I think the Jaguars may have gotten a long-term starter in Tyson Campbell there last year. You need to take advantage of that because it's basically a second late first-round pick.
Well, you saw what you just said, right? I mean, Devontae Adams was franchised and then traded. Chris Godwin with the ACL, franchised. Mike Williams got a new deal. Teams locked up great receivers. So the panic, the passion, the mania for receivers is going to force teams up into the bottom of the first round to get a Jahan Dotson from Penn State.
Yeah.
Those kind of guys. The kid from North Dakota State, Watson, is climbing as well. There could be a great value there if the Jaguars are willing to be patient.
Absolutely. And that is Ashlyn. When we come back, some closing thoughts here on the Jaguars Digital Network. Fans like you have been told that going all out is going too far. But fans like you know better. You're the kind of fan who loves the team as much as your pet, who paints yourself for game days and dyes your pet's fur to match. You are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and diehard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too. The official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0000 0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. VyStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vystarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
There is no better time to become a Daily's Place Blue member than now. Get access to the best seats and amenities, premium parking, and more for all shows during the 2022 season. This year is shaping out to be one of the best yet, with Dave Matthews Band, Keith Urban, Tim McGraw, and more. So don't miss out. For more information, email ticketing@boldevents.com. Coming up on Jaguars.com this week, we have the Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, and JP Shadrick. Tomorrow, happy hour this Thursday, and lots coming. Maybe more free agents signed this week. We will stay tuned. Stay tuned with us on Jaguars.com, and we'll see you right back here next Tuesday on Jaguars Drive Time.